The shocking truth about the orphan who built the Rolex empire at just 21. You won't believe this. In the heart of a bustling city where dreams are born and shattered, there lived a boy named Leo. An orphan since the age of 5, he roamed the streets, clutching an old watch that had been his only keepsake. The ticking sound echoed like a heartbeat, a reminder of the time he lost. Little did anyone know he was destined to build an empire. The Rolex Empire. At only 21, Leo was poised to reveal secrets that could shatter the foundations of the iconic brand's secrets, like how he secured exclusive deals that even top millionaires couldn't pull off. When Leo first walked into the dimly lit antique shop, something in him sparked. The dusty shelves were filled with treasures from another time. But it was an old Rolex, glinting under a single beam of light, that caught his eye, called to him, drawing him in with an irresistible energy. To others it was just a watch, but to Leo it felt like a promise. It had a life of its own, filled with tales of triumph and mystery. As he held it, he knew he was meant for something bigger. The curiosity didn't stop there. Whispers circulated about Leo, claiming he had gotten insider information on Rolex's secret manufacturing process. How could an orphan, with nothing but the watch on his wrist, know the dark details of an empire built on prestige and status? He started showing up at luxury events, rubbing shoulders with the wealthy elite who were baffled by his presence. How did he get there? Who was navigating behind the scenes for this mysterious boy? Just as things were looking up, the tension escalated. At a lavish gala, Leo spotted a shadow lurking in the corner, casting doubts over his newfound life. Could it be that someone wanted to pull him down? More than a few eyebrows were raised when he presented a vintage Rolex as a gift, an unwelcome surprise that sent murmurs through the room. The air crackled with suspicion, and Leo felt the heat of 1,000 eyes. Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the night wore on, Leo sensed that the walls were closing in. The lavish decorations seemed to suffocate him, the laughter of the wealthy turning into echoes of doubt. Just when he thought he could turn it all around, chaos erupted. A sudden scream pierced the air, and the atmosphere shifted. All eyes turned towards the source of the commotion. Was it a warning? An unveiling? With his heart racing, questions flooded Leo's mind. Who would dare disrupt the evening? More importantly, what did they know about him that he didn't? As the mystery deepened, he could almost feel the world around him starting to crack, like the very watch he cherished would inevitably lose its time too. But one thing was certain. Leo was not about to let it go without a fight. What would he uncover next? In the silence that followed the scream, the once lively gala plunged into a tense stillness. Leo stood frozen, his heart thundering in his chest. He took a step forward, eyes darting to the crowd. What had happened? Did someone fall? Then he saw her, a woman, pale and shaking, staring wide-eyed at the entrance. A glimmer of recognition crossed her face, and she pointed a trembling finger towards Leo. Whispers erupted, a wave of shock rippling through the guests. The rich voices of the elite grew louder, rising into a chorus of murmurs and incredulous gasps. What does she know? He whispered to himself, feeling his pulse quicken. The woman, dressed in an ornate gown that was once beautiful but now seemed tattered with panic, took a shaky step toward Leo. Her lips moved, but no sound escaped. She was terrified, and it frightens Leo. Suddenly, a figure stepped in front of her. A tall man dressed impeccably in a tailored suit. His demeanor was commanding, as if he could absorb the fear in the air. Get away from him, he barked at the woman. The room filled with tension. Uncertainty hung like fog, dark and dense. Leo's mind raced. Was the man protecting him or threatening him? Who are you? She finally managed to say, her voice shaky. You don't understand what you're playing with. Leo clenched his fists. What do you mean? He called out, desperation creeping into his tone. The man stepped closer, blocking her view of Leo. Walk away while you still can, he warned, his voice low and dangerous. This kid has no idea what he's involved in. Leo felt the heat wash over him. A cold sweat trickled down his spine. He had thought he was on the cusp of a breakthrough, but now doubts twisted in his stomach. What was this really about? Before he could respond, the woman broke free from the man's grasp. I can help you. You don't know what you've been chosen for. Her eyes glimmered with an odd mixture of fear and urgency. The crowd shifted, eager yet afraid, buzzing with speculation. Could she be another pawn in the twisted game unfolding? Leo's head spun as he considered the implications of her words. Chosen for what? Feeling trapped, he took a step back. I don't want any part of this. He wanted to run, but the air felt heavy around him, binding him in place. Leo, listen. She pressed on, her voice rising over the chaotic whispers. Your life is in danger. They know about the watch. They know about you. You've got to trust me. Doubts gnawed at Leo, but beneath that fear, a fire ignited. He had clawed his way out from nothing, and he wasn't going to let anyone or anything take that from him now. The man stepped forward, looming over her. Enough. This is not a game. His voice was sharp like broken glass, and Leo caught a glimpse of something dark lurking behind his steely gaze. As panic set in, Leo watched the tension escalate into a storm. Suddenly, the lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the room. Gasps echoed again, and the crowd shifted nervously, glancing around for answers. In that split second, Leo made a choice. He turned on his heel, sprinting towards the exit, his heart hammering louder than ever. The woman's voice called after him, but he couldn't stop. He wasn't sure what he was running from, or where he was going, but he knew it was his only chance. And just as he reached the doors, he stopped cold. The figure was waiting outside. Dark, imposing silence enveloped the scene as the world around him held its breath. Now, he was really trapped, but what awaited him just beyond those doors might change everything. What was more dangerous? The truth he was pursuing or the shadows in pursuit of him? Leo's breath caught in his throat as he stood before the imposing figure. The man was a monument of darkness, his presence radiating an unsettling calm that made every hair on Leo's neck stand on end. The air shifted, heavy with anticipation and dread. Leo, the man said, his voice low and measured. You don't want to go down this path. His eyes flickered with an ominous intent, like twin predatory orbs in an endless night. What do you want from me? Leo snapped, his voice laced with defiance. He couldn't let fear drown him. He had to fight against the shadows encroaching on his life. It's not what I want. It's what they want, the man replied, nodding vaguely behind him, where the gala's lights dimmed further, swallowing the last remnants of vibrancy. You've stirred something you can't comprehend. And now you need to understand the stakes. Leo felt a chill run down his spine. The man's words hung in the air, thick with menace and foreboding. Was his life really on the line? The idea settled in, creeping into his thoughts like a sinister fog. Who are you? He pressed, trying to regain his footing. Why are you telling me this? The man stepped closer, his expression darkening. No time for pleasantries. You'll find you have a lot of enemies, Leo. People who wouldn't think twice about using you as a pawn. He gestured beyond Leo, and the terrified woman from the gala stepped hesitantly through the doors, her eyes wild with desperation. Leave him alone, she pleaded, her voice cracking under the weight of fear. Stay back, the man warned her, raising a hand, but there was unmistakable concern etched on his face. Your only hope is to listen, she urged, her voice strained. They're coming for you. Someone has already made a move. Leo's mind raced. What do you mean? Who's coming? The very mention of threat sent adrenaline coursing through his veins. Before she could respond, a sudden roar shattered the tension. The unmistakable sound of tires screeching against the pavement outside cut through the tension. The crowd within the hall erupted into chaos as panic seeped through every corner. Shouts mingled with the blaring of sirens in the background. "Stay inside," the man barked, but his voice was drowned out by the commotion. Guests rushed for the exits, scrambling like ants disturbed from their nest. "Leo." The woman gripped his arm tightly, her eyes pleading. "We have to go now." The man's expression hardened. "You trust her? She doesn't know the extent of what's at stake." "Stop," Leo shouted, torn between them. His instincts clashed, to flee with her or to stay and confront the looming danger. The distant chaos outside grew louder, and Leo felt the walls closing in. It was as if the gala had become a battleground, every guest a soldier on the front lines of an unseen war. Faces swirled around him, frantic with fear, and among the scrambling figures, something glinted briefly in the chaos, a flash of metal. That's when realization hit him like a punch to the gut. The watch. It felt heavy on his wrist, its significance echoing in the depths of his mind. A marker of everything he lived for and everything that put him in danger. "Get down," the man shouted, lunging toward them just as a powerful crash erupted outside, breaking the tranquility of the evening into shards of panic. Leo's heart raced, the gnawing feeling of fate unfurling around him. He had to choose. Stay and confront the storm brewing within, or risk everything by running into the unknown. "Now!" the woman screamed, pushing past him. He hesitated, the decision weighing him down. But before he could make up his mind, shadows emerged from the chaos, dark figures weaving through the crowd, eyes locked onto him. And then he was running. But as he took that first step, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. What awaited him in the shadows was something far greater, something he had only brushed against. But just then, a voice echoed from the distance, weaving through the chaos. "You can't run from your fate, Leo. You can't escape what you're destined to become." The words hung in the air, and Leo's chest tightened. What did she mean by destiny? And in that moment, a chilling realization gripped him. Maybe it was time to stop running. The next turn of events promised even greater dangers, and he couldn't shake the thought of what lurked behind the walls he had built around himself. Would he face the truth, or would he be consumed by it? Leo dashed through the frenzied crowd, adrenaline surging through his veins. He heard the sound of shattering glass and the panicked screams of his fellow gala attendees, his heart pounding loudly in his chest. Each footfall felt heavier, as if the ground beneath him was trying to hold him back, to tether him to whatever turmoil awaited. "Over here," the woman's voice cut through the chaos. She had found a side door, a narrow exit half hidden behind a curtain. Leo barely registered her urgency as he followed her, his mind swirling with confusion and fear. They slipped into the dark alleyway just as the lights of the gala flickered ominously. Who were those people? Leo gasped, pressing against the cool brick wall, catching his breath. "The order," the woman replied, her eyes wide with fear. "They want the watch. It's not just a timepiece, it's a key." "A key to what?" His voice trembled. "That's what we need to figure out." She scanned the area, her body rigid as she listened for footsteps. "They'll be looking for you. They want to make sure you don't unlock what's meant to stay locked." Ghastly shadows danced around them in the alley, and Leo clutched the watch on his wrist, feeling the weight of its secrets. Just then, the man still looming in the back of his mind flashed in front of him. What did he mean that "I have enemies"? He meant that someone is watching and waiting, ready to strike the moment you show any sign of weakness, she said, her voice steady yet urgent. "We have to keep moving until we can find a safe place." Leo nodded, still grappling with the notion that an object had made him a target. The watch felt like a shackle, holding him back from a life he thought he understood. He had been a regular guy, working hard and living for the moment. Now everything felt like a wild, chaotic nightmare. "Can you trust me?" the woman suddenly asked, her eyes locking onto his. "We only have each other right now. Trust is all we have." He hesitated, uncertainty flickering in his chest. "You haven't even told me your name." "Rachel," she said, a small smile breaking through her tension. "Now are you in?" Yeah, he replied, hoping this was not a decision he would come to regret. Follow me. She turned and took off down the darkened street, her footsteps echoing against the pavement. Leo followed closely, the shadows around them feeling alive, thrumming with the energy of the impending danger as they turned a corner. He felt a sudden shift in the air. It was almost palpable, an unseen force closing in on them. Rachel stopped short, forcing him to halt as well. What is it? He breathed, his senses on high alert. Listen, she whispered, her face now a mask of concentration, straining to hear the world outside the hum of their own panic. The low rumble followed by a high-pitched keening sound echoed in the distance. It was like raw anguish, an inhuman wail that sent a chill running down Leo's spine. His heart raced. He couldn't shake the feeling that the world was closing in, full of predatory eyes watching him. Were they right? He thought. Was he destined for something darker than he could comprehend? Just as he was about to voice his fear, Rachel grabbed his arm, her grip firm. We have to go now. They'll be here any second. Panic surged through him, and Leo sprinted after her, desperation lending wings to his feet. The world around them blurred, lights and sounds igniting a frenzy of uncertainty. But one thought pierced through the confusion. What lay ahead was far more dire than simple evasion. In the distance, hidden in the shadows, a dark figure appeared, motionless and watching. Leo's breath hitched in his throat. What do you see? He barely whispered. Trouble, Rachel replied. A fractured silence filled the air, thick and suffocating. The weight of inevitability hung between them, and Leo realized the truth he sought was always just out of reach. But this would not be the last time he faced the abyss. As they moved, Leo felt the grip of destiny tightening around him. But could he break free from it? Leo and Rachel dashed down the street, the dark figure fading into the thickening night behind them. Fear surged through Leo. It was a living thing clawing at his insides. They turned another corner, the sounds of chaos still echoing from the gala, but the pulse of their own crisis loomed larger. Keep close, Rachel urged, her voice sharp amid the cacophony. Her eyes darted, sharp and calculating. There was a flicker of determination in her demeanor that made him want to trust her more than anything else in that moment. Where are we going? He gasped, trying to keep up with her swift pace. A safe house, she replied. It's not far. If we can just get a few blocks away, we might lose them. They entered a narrow street, where the buildings loomed tall and oppressive, shadows twisting like specters around them. The atmosphere felt electric, as if the air itself was charged with impending doom. Leo felt the watch on his wrist grow warmer against his skin, thrumming with an energy he couldn't decipher. What's so special about this watch? He demanded, struggling to comprehend why it had turned him into prey. Why do they want it? Rachel slowed down, her breath coming in sharp cuts. Legend has it, the watch can unlock a gateway to tools of unimaginable power. Secrets buried long ago. The Order believes whoever possesses it can control them. A knot twisted in Leo's gut. That's insane. Is it? Power makes people do insane things. They're fanatics, Leo. And they won't stop until they have it back. Leo's mind raced. The weight of responsibility pressed down harder on him. This watch was no longer just an heirloom, it was a ticking time bomb. What do we do? He asked, desperation creeping into his tone as they rounded another corner. We lay low and regroup. The safe house's owners can help us. They'll know what to do. Just then, a piercing scream split through the night, icy and unmistakably close. Rachel froze, heart pounding at the sound of another person in peril. Did you hear that? He nodded, dread pooling in his stomach. We can't just leave them, he protested, instinctively inching towards the sound. But Rachel grabbed his arm, her grip unyielding. We are not equipped to help. We need to prioritize our safety. Her eyes searched his, pleading yet firm. If we don't focus on getting through this, there won't be anyone left to save. The siren of danger echoed in the air, clawing at Leo's sanity. He wanted to act, but deep down he felt her logic hitting home. They both needed to survive first, but the guilt of selfishness weighed heavily on him. They pressed on, moving through the dimly lit streets. Terror twisted through each shadow, a silent specter lurking, waiting. Leo glanced over his shoulder, every crack of a twig or thud of footsteps sending a jolt through him. "Do you think we lost them?" he whispered, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. Before Rachel could answer, a pair of headlights flickered to life at the far end of the street, illuminating silhouettes moving toward them with alarming speed. They were coming for him. The chilling realization ignited a frenzy of adrenaline. "Run!" Rachel screamed, and they darted down a side alley, breaths coming fast and labored. Leo felt the sound of pursuit behind them, heavy footsteps crashing on the pavement, unrelenting. Just as they reached the end of the alley, a brutal force collided into him, slamming him sideways against the cold, unforgiving wall. Stars burst before his eyes, and for a moment he was disoriented. "Leo!" Rachel shouted, panic creeping into her voice as she reached for him. But he was caught, held tight by a man clad in black, eyes glinting coldly under the streetlights. "Looking for something?" He sneered, a predatory smile forming on his lips as he tightened his grip. Fear crackled in the air. Leo could feel the walls closing in. The order had found them. But what exactly did they want? What was he truly unlocking? The questions spun through his mind as darkness threatened to swallow him whole. With a surge of defiance, he locked eyes with Rachel. She had to know something. Was there escape still left? He would have to discover the truth against all odds. But did she remain loyal, or had he already lost her? Leo struggled against the grip of the man in black, his heart racing as he sensed Rachel's fear. The thug's fingers clamped tighter, each breath a shot of panic coursing through him. "Let him go," she cried, stepping forward, unwavering, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her calm facade. The man chuckled, a hollow, cruel sound. "You think you can just run away? You're entangled in something far beyond your understanding." His eyes glinted with a mix of malice and something more sinister, reflection of a world Leo was desperate to escape. "We don't have to fight," Rachel shouted, desperation spilling over. "Just let him go. You can have the watch." At the mention of the watch, the man's expression shifted slightly. "You don't even know what it is you're offering. It's not just a watch. It's a key. And you, boy, you are the lock." A cold dread settled in Leo's stomach. The words wrapped around him like barbed wire. If he was the lock, what terrified secrets lay on the other side? "What do you want with me?" he gasped, struggling to free himself as the pressure of the man's grip intensified. "Simple. You have the watch. We need you to activate it," the thug said, tilting Leo's chin up with an iron grip, forcing him to meet his gaze. "And if you don't cooperate well, let us just say, consequences will follow." Before Leo could respond, a series of urgent footsteps thundered towards them. Rachel leaned closer, daring to speak softly. "Leo, there's a way out. If I create a distraction, don't even think about it," he hissed, the fear of losing her sending a shock through him. Yet, that was the harsh truth of their situation. He could feel it in every pulse that thrummed in his veins. "The Order 1T let you escape," the man said, his confidence unwavering. "They will find you, and they will find the watch." Just then, headlights from a truck swept across the alley, illuminating the three of them in a glaring spotlight. Rachel seized the moment. "Now!" she shouted, lunging forward and knocking the thug off balance. With a swift twist, Leo slipped out of his grasp, instinct kicking in as adrenaline surged through him. They bolted in opposite directions, the man stumbling briefly before regaining his footing, rage sparking in his eyes. "Get back here," he yelled. Leo's instincts screamed for him to keep running, but he turned momentarily, catching sight of Rachel sprinting down the other end of the alley, eyes full of determination. She hadn't given up. They could escape together, but danger loomed around every corner. As they tore down the side street, breathless and desperate, Leo felt the weight of the watch against his wrist, a scorching reminder of the chaos that clung to him like a shroud. They skidded around a corner, the open road ahead drawing nearer. "Where to?" he gasped, though every step felt like pulling him deeper into the unknown. "Just keep going," Rachel shouted, urgency propelling her voice. We need to find shelter. There's an old diner nearby, but just as the distant neon lights came into view, the sound of screeching tires pierced the night. A black SUV skidded to a halt, its headlights cutting through the darkness like a knife. Rachel. Leo's voice broke with panic. They couldn't go back, but the path to freedom was closing fast. In the blink of an eye, the SUV's doors swung open, and shadows spilled out, figures cloaked in darkness stepping toward them, eyes glinting with predatory intent. The order wasn't done yet. With a tug of desperation, Leo grabbed Rachel's hand. We have to move. But as they darted towards the diner, the realization hit him: was the watch truly a beacon of hope? Or was it a mark of doom that would lead them to an even darker fate? Their lives hung in the balance as the thrumming chaos followed, a storm of danger looming ever closer. What unfolded next would reveal the true nature of the secrets hidden within the watch, and whether they were strong enough to face it together or if betrayal would rip them apart. Would Rachel's brave instincts lead them to safety, or was the path toward truth a road paved with peril? The clock was ticking. Leo felt his heart hammering as they sprinted toward the diner, the glow from its neon lights flickering like a beacon amid the chaos. Each step echoed with desperation, a raw urgency propelling them forward. The shadows from the SUV chased after them, their footfalls thunderous and relentless. Faster, Rachel urged, her grip tightening around Leo's hand. Her eyes flickered back to the SUV, fear etched on her face. They're right behind us. Suddenly, two shadows broke away from the pack, charging towards them with terrifying speed. Leo's senses surged. He took a deep breath and pushed Rachel ahead of him, ready to protect her at any cost. Go, he shouted, glancing back once more. The man in black was there, fury radiating from him, eyes wild with anger. Don't stop, she cried, the urgency in her voice pushing Leo to summon every bit of energy he had left. They rounded the corner, the diner finally coming into view. The diner's door was ajar, a flickering fluorescent light casting an unsteady glow onto the pavement. They rushed inside, the bell above the door chiming like a warning. The aroma of cheap coffee and frying bacon filled the air, oddly comforting amidst the terror. The late-night patrons turned their heads, startled by the sudden intrusion. Get down, Leo shouted. He threw himself and Rachel to the floor behind the counter, hearts pounding like war drums. Do you think they saw us? Rachel whispered, her eyes wide, scanning the room. I don't know, he replied, glancing over the counter. Shadows loomed just outside the door, and the clattering of footsteps approached. Then, the man in black appeared, his expression twisting with malice as he scanned the diner. He pushed the door open forcefully, startling the patrons, who froze in confused shock. We're looking for a couple of kids, he barked, his voice low and threatening. Leo's stomach twisted in knots. The sense of doom settled even heavier. Don't look at them, an older waitress shouted suddenly from behind the counter, stepping protectively in front of Leo and Rachel. You're not welcome here. The man snorted derisively. Just let us do our job. They're in trouble deeper than they can imagine. Trouble? The mere word sent ice down Leo's spine. What kind of trouble were they in? His gaze darted to Rachel, who appeared pale yet focused, like a razor's edge. A swelling anger built inside him. They want to take us, he snapped, raising his voice so everyone could hear it. You can't have the watch. The man's head snapped toward Leo, confusion morphing into a vicious grin. Ah, the watch. You really don't understand what you're holding, do you? Leo's mind raced, the implications of the watch heavier than ever. It wasn't just a trinket. It was a key to something far more sinister. Believe me, kid, the thug continued, hand it over and we can forget this little incident. Think about your girl. These people, he gestured recklessly at the patrons, who looked ready to bolt at any moment. Shut up, Rachel snapped, rising slightly. You think intimidating us is going to work? We're not scared of you. But Leo felt the fear clawing inside him again. What if they were making a grave mistake? Could they trust the unknown? Suddenly, they heard the distinct sound of sirens approaching in the distance. Relief flooded through him, but it would also draw more attention to them. Now would be a good time to leave, the waitress urged, grim urgency in her voice. Leo's mind fumbled for a plan. Rachel kept staring at him, as if trying to gauge their next move without words. The watch tugged at his wrist, almost alive, buzzing with dangerous potential. Just then, the thug started toward them, eyes locked on the watch. "You don't know who you're dealing with," he spat. Leo was lost in the moment, every ounce of his being screaming to act. "We need to go," he yelled, adrenaline flooding back. But before he could move, the diner erupted into chaos. The sound of the door being flung open and the wail of police sirens merged into a cacophony that felt like the world collapsing around them. Shadows poured in, soldiers of the order ready to claim their prize. And in that moment of chaos, Leo realized the time for fleeing was over. Would they fight for their survival or succumb to the darkness that loomed? Was the watch the weapon that could save them or the chain that bound them to their fate? The answer lay just beyond the edge of the storm, and they needed to find it. Fast. The diner's lights flickered as if sensing the impending violence, casting erratic shadows over the stunned patrons. Leo's heart raced like a freight train, pounding in his ears. He locked eyes with Rachel, both running on instinct, each knowing they had only moments to decide their fate. "We can't stay here," Leo shouted, his voice barely breaking through the turmoil. He could see the thug's face contort into a predatory grin, empowered by the chaos and the knowledge that he was in control. "Out the back," the waitress urged, her finger pointing desperately to a narrow hallway that led to a staff exit. "Go now. Come on." Leo grabbed Rachel's hand, yanking her towards the shadows that aligned with the hallway's entrance. Sounds of chaos erupted behind them as the patrons began to panic, their confusion only fueling the thug's ambition. They dashed into the narrow passage, the distant sound of shouts echoing around them. Leo had no time to think about what lay ahead. Only the need to escape propelled them forward. The fear from the thug's threats still gnawed at him, weighing heavily on his mind as they flew out the back door. The cold night air pierced through his skin. The alley was dimly lit, a sharp contrast to the buzzing energy of the diner. He could hear the sirens wailing closer now, their throaty cries intertwining with his anxious gasps. "Where do we go?" Rachel's voice trembled, uncertainty creeping into her expression. "Keep running," Leo urged, adrenaline coursing through him as he scanned the alley for an escape route. He spotted a dumpster at the end of the lane, its neon graffiti barely visible in the low light. "We can hide there for a moment." They ducked behind the dumpster, breathing heavily, their bodies pressed tight against the cold metal. Leo could hear the scrambling of feet coming from the diner, the men in black caught off guard by their sudden exit. The fact that they had slipped away made Leo feel bold, albeit terrified. "What are we going to do about the watch?" Rachel whispered, her voice nearly drowned out by his racing heartbeat. The weight of the timepiece felt unreal on his wrist, almost alive. "I don't know," Leo admitted, "but we can't let them take it." He could sense her worry so palpable it made the air thick. It wasn't just about the watch. It was what it represented. The suddenly dangerous world they had stumbled into was spiraling out of control. Suddenly, there was a loud crash, the back door of the diner slamming open as the man in black and his thugs poured into the alley. "Find them. They couldn't have gone far," he barked, his voice laced with both arrogance and fear. "Leo, what do we do?" Rachel's voice, shook doubt, clung to her words as she pressed against him. "We need to find a place to disappear," he replied, his mind racing. "We can't let them corner us. That watch is a liability now." He glanced around hastily, seeking cover and a way out. Just then, he spotted a small door slightly ajar at the far end of the alley, a place thick with shadows and inscrutable dangers, perfect for hiding. "Over there," Leo pointed, and they sprinted toward the door, their hearts pounding louder than their footsteps. Just as they reached the entrance, a bright light illuminated the alley. The man in black had a flashlight, swinging it back and forth through the dark. "I know you're there. Don't make this harder than it has to be." A surge of panic shot through Leo. They had to act. He pushed the door open and pulled Rachel inside just as the beam of light pierced the space behind them. They stumbled into the narrow room, which smelled of dampness and old wood. It was a storage space filled with crates and discarded furniture, treasures of the past untouched for years. They pressed themselves against the wall, hearts thudding loudly in the silence. Leo could barely breathe as the footsteps echoed in the alley outside. "Do you think they'll find us?" Rachel whispered, her eyes wide and glistening. Before he could respond, a deafening crash vibrated through the walls. The men were forcing their way in, determined to reclaim what Leo and Rachel had stolen. Adrenaline surged through Leo as he clenched the watch tightly. It pulsed with a strange energy, as if it knew the confrontation ahead. Then, Leo's mind raced. What if the watch was more than just an object? What if it held the power to change everything? A sudden determination gripped him. "We need that watch to keep them away from us," he said, almost to himself. But just then, a low voice broke through the tension, whispering from the shadows, "You don't know what you're dealing with." The door rattled, and something was about to change. Would the watch reveal its true purpose, or would it seal their doom? The air inside the cramped storage room thickened, a putrid mix of mold and dust swirling around them. Leo's heart clawed against his ribcage, the impossibly loud thuds resonating from the door like a countdown to disaster. He stole a glance at Rachel, her eyes wide with fear. His grip on her hand tightened, a lifeline in the storm of uncertainty that surrounded them. "Leo," she breathed, barely a whisper. "What if they find us?" His mind raced, thoughts darting like fireflies. He had to keep her calm. "They won," he insisted, more to convince himself than her. "We just need to stay quiet." A loud crash interrupted him as the door splintered, the hinges screaming against the pressure of their pursuers. Leo's breath caught. The men in black were a heartbeat away. Suddenly, the voice emerged again, deeper this time, almost echoing from the shadows. "You don't understand the power of that watch. You think you can just hide. Who are you?" Leo managed to shout, scanning the darkness. "Show yourself." Silence reigned for a split second. Then the dim light caught a glimpse of a figure, cloaked in shadows, slipping through the gaps between crates. The intruder materialized, an older man with a haggard face and eyes that flickered with both knowledge and madness. "You think you're safe? The watch doesn't just tell time. It tells stories, creates ripples through time." "Stop it," Rachel cried, her voice shaking. "We don't care about your stories. We just want to survive." The man stepped closer, his demeanor shifting from eerie to almost pleading. "Survival? You think running is the answer? The watch is your ticket to understanding what lies ahead, to plan for what's coming. You need to know the truth behind it." Leo felt heat rise within him. "What truth? Just tell us." The pounding on the door grew louder, splinters flying with each forceful hit. The man leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "It's not just a watch. It belonged to someone powerful, a man who controlled fate itself. You've activated it without even knowing, and now they're coming for you." "What do you mean activated?" Rachel interjected, disbelief replacing fear. Leo could see her processing the weight of his words, trying to stitch together a narrative that made sense. "Time is fluid," the man replied, steadying himself against a crate. "With the watch you can change events, manipulate outcomes. But you must keep it safe or it could fall into the wrong hands, and there are many who seek it." With a sudden crash, the door flew open, refacing chaos. The men rushed in, their black silhouettes slicing through the dim light. Leo's instincts kicked in. "Run!" he yelled, shoving Rachel toward the back of the room. Clutched tightly in his hand, the watch felt alive, pulsing with energy. It was a heavy responsibility, more than he could comprehend. But could the man's warning be real? As the men advanced, Leo was already spiraling into thoughts of escape. "What's the plan?" he shouted over his shoulder, searching for any escape route. Without a word, the cloaked figure darted to the side, revealing a hidden door concealed behind stacked crates, just big enough for them to squeeze through. "Go. There's a way out. Are you coming with us?" Rachel asked, glancing back at him. "Go. The watch is the key." They will stop at nothing to retrieve it. He shouted, urgency spilling from his lips, and one last desperate move. Leo grabbed Rachel's arm, and they rushed forward, pushing through the door. Behind them, the men in black poured into the room, angry yells echoing as they realized the prey had slipped through their fingers. The hidden passageway was dark, almost suffocating, twisting and turning beneath the dim glow of a flickering light. They could hear the angry shouts growing distant, but Leo's heart thundered louder with the gravity of what lay ahead. "Leo, we have to," he interrupted, feeling that time was running out not just for them, but for something far greater than they understood. That he could sense the thrill of danger, the urgency of questioning what was real and what was imagined. But one question echoed louder. Would they ever grasp the full extent of the watch's power, or would they fall victim to the cycle it spun? As they moved deeper into the unknown, the shadows seemed to whisper promises of dark secrets. They would soon discover just how deep the rabbit hole went. But was it too late to turn back now? Leo and Rachel emerged from the hidden passage, their breaths harsh and quick. They found themselves in a damp basement, illuminated by weak light filtering through a dirty window. The walls were lined with shelves, cluttered with dusty items, remnants of a long-forgotten time. "This has to be a safe place," Leo whispered, desperate hope creeping into his voice as he surveyed their surroundings. Rachel nodded, her eyes scanning the area, alert for any signs of danger. "But for how long?" she asked, a worry lacing her tone. Leo could feel the urgency in her voice. The thought of being found again, of the order reaching their grasp, sent chills down his spine. "We'll figure it out," he urged, clutching the watch tightly, wishing it would give him answers or at least calm the storm brewing in his stomach. What had the old man meant? This watch was a key. A key to what? Suddenly, the distant sound of footsteps echoed from above, causing both of them to tense up. "They're searching," Rachel breathed, her body tensing with dread. Leo pressed a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. They huddled behind an old workbench, heartbeats sinking to the rhythm of fear. The footsteps grew louder, the creaking floor above suggesting multiple figures were moving in search of them. Leo's mind raced, worrying that any sound might give them away. Then, he remembered the old man's warnings. The watch, if it truly held power, perhaps it could be used to outsmart their pursuers. But he had no idea what that meant. "Okay," he whispered, leaning toward Rachel. "If the watch is supposed to have some kind of power, maybe we can use it to help us escape. Maybe we need to activate it." Rachel's expression shifted. "What if that makes things worse?" "Then we fight," Leo said, determination kicking in. He released her hand and unclasped the watch, feeling its cool surface beneath his fingers. As the footsteps drew nearer, Leo felt a strange rush of energy surge through him. Closing his eyes, he concentrated on the watch, feeling a warmth radiating from it. What if we could manipulate time? He thought, considering their predicaments and the people pursuing them. What if we could rewind even just a bit to stall them? The moment he prayed that thought, the watch flickered. It pulsed in his hand, light shifting through its face like the glimmer of a distant sun breaking through the clouds. "Oh my God," Rachel whispered, her voice a mere breath. "Leo, I think it's working." Suddenly, a blinding light enveloped them. When the world around them seemed to shift and distort, the sounds of footsteps faded into whispers, and for a fleeting second, they felt weightless, like they were suspended in air, untethered from time. Then just as abruptly, it all slammed back, and they were standing again in the basement, but it was silent now. Felt different, lighter somehow. What just happened? Rachel breathed, staring wide-eyed at Leo. "I don't know," Leo murmured, staring at the watch, still glowing faintly. I think we may have traveled back, at least partially. We might have created a gap." Suddenly, the door leading to the basement creaked open, and in stepped a figure, one of the men in black. But this time he stopped dead in his tracks, confused, as if caught in a loop. "Go!" Leo shouted suddenly, pulling Rachel toward the back of the basement, breaking through a door that led to the outside. They emerged into an alleyway bathed in the moonlight, bright, perfect, and still untouched by the chaos they had just escaped. As they sprinted away, an exhilarating rush surged through Leo. They had thwarted their pursuers at least for now and soon found themselves ducking into a deserted street, lined with worn brick buildings. They stood for a moment, catching their breaths. Did it work? Rachel asked, a mix of fear and excitement in her voice. Did we actually escape? I don't know how long it will last, Leo admitted. But we have a chance now. Those men may not find us like this again. Rachel looked into his eyes, gratitude and determination swirling in her gaze. What do we do next? Leo nodded slowly, realization dawning. We gotta figure out what that key unlocks. I think the watch is connected to something bigger than we ever thought. As they walked under the soft glow of streetlights, Leo felt the tension ease just slightly. Hope flickered in their chests. They wouldn't let fear consume their lives. They would fight for their future. Leo, Rachel said, breaking the silence as they moved carefully through the quiet street. Promise me we will get to the bottom of this no matter what. I promise, he assured, squeezing her hand tightly. They faced this together no matter the cost. While the dangers were still lurking, they were no longer merely running blind. They were willing to confront the truth head-on. As they disappeared into the night, the warmth of the watch pulsed against Leo's wrist, his reminder that time wasn't just their enemy. It was theirs to control. But now they had to make sure they discovered how to wield that power without losing themselves in the process. It was time to dive deeper into the unknown and understand just what fate had woven for them in the threads of time. And with that, they began their journey not as victims but as warriors standing against the odds. This was only the beginning of their fight, a fight for truth, freedom, and everything they risked to protect. The shadows, however, still lurked, but Leo held onto the hope that, together, they could face whatever awaited. Don't wait even one more second. You need to subscribe now to join us for more epic stories like this. Smash that like button now to keep this content flowing, and flood the comments section with your thoughts. What do you think is the true purpose of the watch? Can Leo and Rachel trust it? Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to dive into this conclusion. Only true fans understand we're in this together.